Hey folks, welcome back again. Another good week for you this week. Our interview is Nikola Arkane. She's been on Sweden's Got Talent, she's been on Penn and Teller, she's been in 4 different rooms at the Magic Castle. She's going to tell us all about that and about transitioning from kids shows to close-up performing, or indeed the other way around. She's going to talk about her website design. It's a very interesting interview, you should definitely give it a watch. I'm also adding a change to the review section when I do one. Normally I do reviews as and when I can find something worth reviewing. I'm still going to be doing that, but every time I review something new, I'm going to add in something old. I'm going to do it like a retro review of something that's in your drawer so that you can remember it and pull it out and not have to buy something new again this week. After last week's pretty bad week, all the goals have been fully back on track this week. I'm losing weight, exercising, getting all the practice done, fully back on track to succeed in my first 12-week year. I've only got 4 weeks left in that 12-week year, but I think I can get every goal on the list done by the end. Hope you're all still enjoying the videos. If you're a subscriber, I highly recommend hitting the little bell icon as well. There's been a very round number of drop-offs in the last 2 weeks. It's almost as if YouTube isn't showing you all my videos and you're missing a couple. If you're not coming to watch the videos because you don't like fat blokes in crap hoodies, that's absolutely fine, but I don't want YouTube to steal your chance to watch the videos by not letting you see them when they appear. So if you hit the notification bell, you will be told when the videos come out. Maybe I lost a few when I transitioned from Monday to Wednesday, I don't know. If you're not subscribed, hit the button, hit the bell. I'm here every week, Wednesday at 8. There's always some useful information for you, and you can follow along with my goals, feel inspired if I succeed, or enjoy with popcorn if I fail. There's also a Facebook group called Magicians Level Up, as opposed to the channel Magician Levels Up. This is the name of the Facebook group here. We're up to about 60 odd members now, all very nice people helping each other out with their goals. It's definitely worth having a look. Let's head off now to a studio performance to see where I'm at with the Ninja Ring so far. Then we'll watch Nikola's interview, do the first retro review show, and that'll be it for the week. Off we go. Folks, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 solid steel rings that can pass magically directly through each other, just like so, and disconnect just as easily. So, would you hold this here while I tap? Can you see any holes there or there? No? Then this should be impossible. That was fast. This is faster. We can join this one to here, like so. I'll even try and do it for you one-handed, just like that. That gives us 1, 2, 3, and 4 linked rings. Would you hold your finger like this? Place your finger just there between these 2 rings while I rub, and the ring just melts right off onto your finger. Let's try that again, right here. Place your finger there, we rub, and the connection is gone. Would you point to somewhere on the ring for me as I run my finger around, say stop? There, excellent. That is where the ring comes off. You're going to give this a try yourself. Hold the ring like this and come down like this on the ring in my hand. 1, 2, 3. Excellently done. Once you practice, you can do all sorts of fancy stuff. I can make it come off at will and back on when you choose. You can toss it in the air and link it in the air. Let's try that again. I'm going to link it in slow motion. Even rest one on top of the other and flip the bottom one into the top. But when you've really got the hang of this, the secret is how to do the link and the unlink completely silently. And then you've got the hang of the linking rings. Progress so far. I'm going to add in the Ninja Plus stuff next week. Hi, folks. Welcome back to the interview section. We've got another great one for you this week. We have Sweden's Got Talent semi-finalist, Penn and Teller appearer, multi-award-winning magician. She's been at the Magic Castle 4 times in every single one of the rooms in there, 4 different rooms in the castle. Children's entertainer and adult entertainer, just multi-talented all the way around. Welcome, Nikola Arkane. Hi, Nicola.
Hello there, Nemid. How are you?
Not bad yourself?
I am good. I'm ready to go.
As I observed at the beginning, you have in the background there what we would call a creative magician's room.
It is very creative. Yes, I was like, should I tidy it? And I was like, no, because as soon as I get off this interview, it will be an explosion of creativity again. So, hey ho.
Now I'm back in the office where all my stuff is at standing height, not sitting height. Uh, so let's get just a very brief overview from you of your career path. I don't normally do that in this channel, but let's just do that a little bit so people get a flavour of what you know.
Okay, so basically, I started off actually as an actress. I went on work experience with a theatre company who turned me into a magician because the director was a magician. I started doing kids magic and I created a character called Fizz Whiz Pop, which I performed for many years and now quite famous in Northern Ireland. And about 6 years ago now, oh my word, it's 6 years. 6 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start doing other stuff because I love card magic, I love stage magic, so I wanted to become a performer for adults. So I am basically now transitioning into performing for adults. Don't get me wrong, I'll always perform for kids because they are just the best audience. But yeah, my life goals now have changed and I want to be a stage performer and close up performer.
That's why I thought you'd be a good interview for this because I've been a stage performer and a close-up performer for years, and over the years, working for Craig Petty, he has dragged me kicking and screaming into the kids show world. I've been doing that for 8 years. So between us, we've got a lot of a crossover to talk about. I thought we'd start off because there's a lot of people in my Facebook group, particularly, and probably in the channel, that are children entertainers. I've done some children entertaining, and they also want to transition into close up. So I thought we'd start talking about that transition.
Wonderful. It's not an easy task. I mean, a lot of people just think, oh, you can start as a kids performer and then you can take all that experience and go straight into performing close up and stage magic. It doesn't necessarily work that way because adults are a completely different audience. So you need to learn how to talk to adults differently because you can't talk childishly to adults. They won't listen to you. They'll stop listening. And also, your facial expressions, like a lot of kids performers and myself included, when I'm Fizz Whiz Pop, I exaggerate my face and make funny faces. And if you started doing that while doing close up for adults, I mean, it would just be nuts, you know? So you have to compromise in a way. You have all of this knowledge from controlling and working with children, but you do have to alter it slightly, I think, to perform for the adult audience. I mean, what do you think?
Uh,
You have what made it the opposite way. So
I have to agree with that. Yeah, I've had to learn to get much more expressive with the kids and much more in control of them all. More, yeah, like you're saying, until a certain alcohol level, obviously, and then the adults and kids are basically the same thing.
yes, I mean, yeah, that's actually worthwhile pointing out. I mean, adults are just big children. There's a different path to find the connection to the adults compared to the kids. The kids are far more open to things, whereas I think adults are quite closed off, and then you have to kind of guide them into that world of magic, you know. So it's slightly different.
Now, there are a lot of people, I hear a lot of people in magic, mostly in adult magic, using the phrase, you can always tell when a kid's magician is doing close up or something like that. They say it as if it's physically impossible to change that. I'm assuming you wouldn't agree with that.
Well, I'm not saying that they aren't wrong because I'll tell you a story. So the first time I went to the Magic Castle, it was after I won the British Close-Up Championship, and I got booked. Jack Goldfinger booked me to perform for my first time in the Close-Up Gallery, and I went there and I had a wonderful week. I mean, it was just what an experience. But among that week, many magicians who are my idols came to see me. For example, Jim Steinmeier came in one day, Shudogawa came in, and I'm doing the coin matrix and going, oh my word.
No pressure.
But then the one person who came in and actually gave me the best advice that I have ever had in my career in magic was Max Maven. And he came and seen the show. And then he says, come out to the bar after you finished your set tonight and we'll talk. And the one thing that he said to me, are you aware that you are mugging? And I was like, no, I don't even know what mugging means. And he was like, you're pulling faces all the time. And that's what people are talking about. That's how they know that you're a kids performer and you've transitioned from kids to adults because you bring that exaggerated facial expression and character into your adult performance. Now, don't get me wrong, I still am exaggerated as Nikola Arkane, but it's a lot more of a tamer character than Fizz Wiz Pop because obviously they're both characters and extensions of me. But if you dial it up as much as you dial up you as much as you dial it up in your kids show, that's what people are talking about. That's what they see, and I don't think that's good. I think that's just it's lazy. Actually, you do have to transition and become an adult character. I think.
And did you spend a lot of time on that? Did you struggle with that in the
Um,
first season?
Oh my word, it is such a struggle. And it's so funny because I have friends obviously in magic, and they're giving me advice, and they're like, "Oh, your shoulders are hunched," and I hate that. I absolutely hate it. See when people say my shoulder, because that's the way I am when I'm Fizz Pop. I'm all kind of like Gollum esque, and see when people tell me that I'm like that when I'm Nicola Arkane, I'm like, because it's such a hard thing to do. But one piece of advice that I can give people is, which is that I do now as Nicola Arkane. Before I go on stage, I stand backstage and I walk as Nicola Arkane. So I walk up and down, back and front, and it's my shoulders back and down, my head kind of up high, and I walk kind of like on a catwalk, if that makes sense. And I just say, I am Nicola Arkane, I'm Nicola Arkane. And that sounds insane. And probably anybody seeing me backstage will think that. But it really does help. And then another thing is to, at certain points during your show, like maybe in between each trick or at this transition, if you kind of just remind yourself, oh yes, I'm Nicola Arkane, I need to correct my posture. And that's what I've been doing. And it does seem to work because I'm becoming less and less Gollum-esque and Fizz Wiz Pop and more like the character I want to be. I mean, I want to be a graceful woman when I perform as Nicola Arkane, not someone from the depths of Mordor, you know?
I suppose it's slightly easier for me transitioning the other way. All I have to do is remember not to use any sarcastic put downs on the kids, make them cry.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So, as Nicola Arkane, I've seen you perform once or twice. The one I remember is I think it was the Magic Circle Christmas show. And that thing that stood out about your show is you have a very, very crafted theatrical style. Every movement that you do and every word you say is very precise and theatrical. I thought, as
Yeah,
one of the goals on the list is to improve my cabaret show and make it more unique and less generic. So I thought I'd talk to you about that for a bit.
yeah, I think I mean obviously the theatrics comes because I was a trained actor and I was exposed very early on to that kind of world where you have to think about light, you have to think about sound, how you stand, how you speak. And so I think all those things really matter to me. Sometimes they matter a wee bit too much, and my friends are reminding me, oh, you should focus more on the magic. And I do try. So I'm trying to strike a balance between the two things. But for me, and I suppose because I came from children's magic too, it's all about setting the right atmosphere for the magic to make the connection with people.
Mm.
And I feel like music really helps with that. Um, Again, light, sound, everything has to look nice. I mean, if you were to look at my Fizz with off set, everything is beautiful. Like I actually, what I do is I set up my set and then I stand at the front of it and look around and just make sure, does everything look nice? It doesn't look old, it doesn't look tattered. And I actually do the same thing with my Nicola Arkane stuff. So my kind of theme for my stuff is white, black, and gold. So like I just make everything look pretty. So yeah, it's all about making everything connect. And yeah, I think I just think a little bit more about that kind of stuff
Mm.
than other people. So,
Uh,
but I think
I'm
it
also
works.
absolutely. I'm also a trained actor myself, but I'm very, very old. That was a long time ago, and there's been many years of close-up magic in between. So my headset is more on get it done, get it done. But yeah, I'm going to have to over the next year add a lot more music and a lot more point and
I
storyline to my show.
if I can interject as well. So one of the things I like, because I love music so much, when I perform at conventions and things like that, I want to be totally in control of the music. And just a shout out to the amazing Sam from Solo. I seen it sitting there and I was like, I have to like give a shout out to Sam Fitton and the Solo team, because if you want to really be in control of your music throughout your entire act, this is the way to go about it. It's just fantastic, and it means you're in complete control of every single music cue. And in fact, most of the shows that I've done, whenever I go to the tech people, they're a bit nervous about it to start with, but as soon as I turn up and I say I'm in complete control of this, they're like, we love you. This is so relaxed. We don't have to worry about when we have to hit go, when we have to stop music. You're in complete control. So I would tell your audience, it's expensive, but it is a blimmin' good investment. So yeah.
We can all see Sam Fitton standing there, right? You've got the camera at the wrong angle.
I know he's like hiding behind all of this stuff.
I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I've got him lined up for an interview, but I'm interviewing him more about his wedding fair history. And I'm going to make him wait as long as possible in the interview before I let him talk about solo, just to watch him twitch.
I love that. I love that. Like you're not allowed. In fact, you should have like almost like a solo swear box for every time he kind of tries to interject in the solo that he needs to be funny.
So, how long have you been using solo for your
I've been using solo for just over a year, and what I can say is when I first, well, Sam warned me when you first use it, the first show is just ridiculous. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like the cues just start playing, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, and you just get on with it. But also what I realized with solo is it's not like, so usually I use go button on my iPad, and you normally whenever you want a piece of music, you point to it, you click it, and then it plays.
Mm.
So when I first got solo, I thought, well, it must be similar to this. But it kind of isn't. You kind of have to think of solo like, okay, I want to use a prop. So let's say this is ridiculous, but it's like literally the only thing I have to hand. So say you want to use a sock puppet, okay? And the sock puppet has some music. So I would kind of, as I'm bringing this up, I would pass it over the solo, and then the sock puppet music would come on, for example. If I had another trick that was with the fizz trick, then I would pass that over the solo, and then that music would come on. So I kind of try to think of solo now as it's activated by the actual trick, and not like a soundtrack played music one after one after one. But you can do both.
Mm.
Definitely, but I find it's more fun when you start to play about with it like this.
And when you have the ideal circumstances for your show, how early on are you taking control? Have you got plans for the music and beforehand? Are you
100%. I mean, literally, when I design a trick, I am literally I'm designing everything. So I search for days. I literally listen to music all the time. Whenever I'm working in my creative space, I'm literally listening to music. And generally what I do is I try to listen to royalty-free music, because if you do end up using music that needs a license, sometimes you may end up going into a venue that they'll need PRS and things like that. So you should try to avoid, because the more you avoid that, the more you'll be universally be able to use your music in venues. But yeah, I'm constantly listening to music, constantly being inspired. And when I design an effect, I have a piece of music that goes with it. It's just part and parcel of the way I create. It's the same as when I rehearse. When I rehearse, I always have music on in the background. It's just how I work. So.
excuse my ignorance of your stuff here, but you have the close-up stuff, and I've seen you on stage. Is your stage act an entirely separate thing that's structured? And do you have a through line to it, any kind of story, or is it trick? What's the pattern with your?
Yeah, I personally try to have a through line to it. 6 years ago, I started studying with Tom Stone at his conjuring courses in Sigtuna in Sweden. They happen every summertime, and generally they open up in January of each year, and they literally normally sell out within hours. It's that popular. But these courses basically they explore theatrical tools to make your magic better. And one of the things is storyline. So like you can have different storylines to your magic. For example, you can have an Ouroboros storyline, which means the snake that bit its own tail. So like you have the start and then you go back to the start again, but it's at the end of the trick. So like there's a routine that I do with a ribbon and a ring, and I make a ball appear, and then at the very end I lift up a cup, and
Mm.
inside the cup the ball is wrapped, the ribbon is wrapped around the ball, so it kind of comes back again at the end of the trick. So that's just how I work. I think audiences enjoy that too. They enjoy the moment where they think, oh, wouldn't it be good if this happened, and then it did. So yeah, I try and design my show in a way to make it pleasurable to the audience as well.
Mm. Okay. One of the other goals on the list is for me to enter the Magic Circle close-up competition this year. Now, all I've got to do is enter to achieve the goal, but there's no point in entering without intending to try and at least attempt to win. And
Yes,
you've got quite an impressive list of wins there that you mentioned. So let's ask you about those,
yes.
your competition thoughts.
Well, basically, what I say to people is, and what I do, and believe me, it is hard because obviously you do enter competitions to win. So if you don't win, there is going to be a disappointment there. I don't care what anybody says, even though you're preparing yourself in your head. Of course, there's going to be disappointment if you don't win. But what you should ultimately do and have in your heart and your head is that this is a goal to get an act together. This is a goal for me to produce a brand new magic trick that I'm going to then take forward and use in my repertoire. So don't so much think about it as in winning the competition, even though you will have that in your head anyway on the day. But the lead up to the competition, it's all about designing and building something new or working on something old and improving it. So
Mm.
I always say, like, if you have 6 months to a competition, that's a great goal. So you, for the next 6 months, you're going to work on something, you're going to improve it, you're going to get better at it. You're maybe going to invite colleagues in to take a look so that they can critique and help you along the way. And all of that, it's not easy. It isn't easy, but I do think it's really worthwhile because otherwise, we just keep performing the same old pat, I'll say. Since I'm physical, I don't want to say a bad word. But yeah, we do. We end up performing the same stuff. And I don't know about you, but for just to go back to Fizz with Pop, me, Fizz with Pop, I have three different versions of my show. And that was my ultimate goal when I started off doing that character. Because, well, not only did I want to continually go back to people's houses. So, for example, if they have three children, each
Mm.
time they'll see a different show, and it means the oldest kid every time has seen a different show, which I think is lovely. But also, I get bored. I'm a wee bit ADHD in that sense. It's really bored. I just want to perform something different. I'm not the kind of person that perform my show 5 times the same way every
Mm.
day. Every time I perform it slightly differently, and I maybe add a different trick in here and there. So I think competitions allows you to build new material and develop as a person and as a character.
Mm.
And actually, just one more thing on a competition, all the competitions that I've entered, every person that I've been competing against, they've ended up as best friends.
Mm.
And now we're like family. And that's one of the most loveliest things because whenever you're all competing, you're all feeling the same way. You're nervous, you're excited, you don't know what's about to happen. So it kind of is like a real nice bonding experience among magicians as well. So yeah, no, all I can say is if you want to enter something, just do it. Sign up to it and do it. And then worry about everything else after it because it will all come together.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective on it. The coming up with just you doing it to come up with something new. I mean, one of the reasons this channel exists is I did slip into that rut. I spent a good decade enjoying myself, and then the second decade slowly repeating everything over and over and over again in the kids show, in the close up, everywhere. So
We
that,
get comfortable, don't we? We get
yeah.
very comfortable, and this is a way of just kind of rejuvenating our love for the art and our love for what we do. And I think it's important that we all kind of step outside our comfort zone every now and again. And this is a perfect opportunity to do that.
I was going to ask you if you had the same issue that I have with competitions, that I really the supreme confidence that I have out and about at a gig just crumbles as soon as you're faced with a bunch of magicians. But then you've just told me you started out in a room with Steinmeier and Max Maven, so you've probably got past that at this point, I imagine.
So you never do. You absolutely, that's all I'm going to say. You never get past. The only thing is you just have to do it. That's all I can say. No, the nerves never go away. And actually, but I think nerves are a good thing. I always say to people, particularly friends of mine who are struggling with nerves, think of them as a good thing. They're your body preparing yourself to perform. It's not necessarily a negative thing. Try to think of it as a positive thing. If you don't have nerves, you're not really getting ready to do something, to
Yeah,
do a show, it's part of it.
that makes sense. I'm not nervous really much anymore when I'm performing for normal people, but I have won 5 regional small competitions and I can't remember any of them. I'm blanked out completely.
It's so funny, and I'm sure a lot of magicians will agree with this statement that I'm going to say. If it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong in front of magicians. It always happens. It always happens. Like it's like, my God, you could do a routine 100 times and then perform it in front of magicians, and everything goes to pot. It's going to happen. So just accept that and move on.
Absolutely. Next thing I wanted to discuss with you is your website. I was looking up information about you, and you have a very good, robust, uh, appealing looking website. And I wondered who you use and what your thoughts are on websites.
Okay, so basically, I started off obviously as Fizz Pop, and when I first started, my mom, when she was alive, she was like a computer programmer, and she was the first person to tell me to go get a website. And she found me this, I can't even remember it now, but she found me this website where I get to design it all myself. And that's actually one advice that I would give everybody. No matter if you have someone to design the website on your behalf, you need to have a website that you can alter at will, even if it's a page, even if it's something, because you want to be able to kind of let people know when you're going to be performing in certain places, or it needs to be semi-alterable. I think that's very fine. But then obviously, after performing for Fizz Talk for years and I've transitioned into adult performing, I realized there's no point having the same website for my adult stuff as my kids stuff. Because then what happens is when you turn up at a wedding to entertain the adults, and then the adults look at you and go, oh no, the children are over there. So, you want to kind of have them completely separate so that when people come to you for adult entertainment, as it were, that's what they're getting. When they come for you for children, that's what they're getting. So I personally, I have 2 websites. In fact, actually, to be honest, I have 3 websites. So I have BizWizPop website, Nikola Arkane website, and then I have my Arkane shop page, which is basically where I release all my products to magicians, like my books and things like that. And I also write a blog. I haven't written a blog in ages because this year has been particularly insane. So I'll be getting back to that soon. But yeah, so try to keep everything separate, because also for your customer, then it means when they're contacting you specifically for that thing. I don't like to mix like close up with Fizz Pop, or
Yeah. Mm.
it's completely separate. So that's a really good thing. And also, I think looking at other people's websites really helps. I mean, a lot of the time we kind of don't want to do that because we're like comparing ourselves to
Mm.
others, and we think, oh, we're inadequate, we're not doing it right. But actually, just every so often having a look at other people's websites really helps, because how they word things, how they
Mm.
make things easy for customers. And that's another thing, make it as simple as possible. I recently, on just a side note, recently updated my Nikola Arkane website, and I realized that all of the things that I had on offer, it was really confusing, like mingle magic or table magic, or so I
Mm.
actually ended up putting it like that. So it's mingle. They know what it is. It's mingle. Table magic. It's at the table, so being very specific helps customers realize what they actually want, because most of the time customers don't really know what they want. They just want you to come in and do what you need to do. But I would prefer that they have a better idea of what they want, so that when I go there, it's my job is satisfactory and I'm doing what I want to do. So yeah, just be very specific, I think. And don't include, make your websites very condensed. People don't
Mm.
have time anymore. People, they want to kind of go very quickly. The amount of things I see on Facebook, oh, this is taking forever. I don't really like this. People don't have time anymore. So really very specific, clear
Mm.
and concise. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put links down below for those. I've seen your Arcane page and I've seen your shop. I haven't looked at the Piff With. Oh, that's wrong. I always get that wrong. What?
Biz whiz pop. It's
Is this
difficult,
pot?
I know.
Yeah, I'll put those down below.
Pop. I just had that beside me. So yeah.
Uh, I'll put links below so they can see them. In particular, the Nikola Arkane website is very nice. What program are you using for that? Do you know?
Oh my word. So I'm very lucky that Tom Stone is not only my mentor but my partner, and he his first career, if you like, was all in that kind of thing. So he designs the websites for me. But again, he designs them in a way that I can alter them myself. I think it's WordPress.
Yeah.
WordPress, I think, yeah, and it's great because even for me, who is like a tech novice,
Mm.
I can go in and alter things and do things with it. And there's only some things that I have to go, Tom, can you help
Mm.
me? So
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on the different website builders. I think it basically looks like it's coming down to WordPress if you're willing to do some work on it yourself, and Wix if you want to pay some money and let it do it itself. But yeah,
100%.
WordPress is a strong contender. I made my last website on WordPress. One last topic on the websites before we move on. I was wondering, when you're performing, say, a kid's party as Fizz Pop or an adult party as Nicola Arcane, are you not wondering about the possibility of losing business on one or the other side because people don't know you do that? Do you have some way of letting them know at the event that you do the other thing, or do you just leave them separate?
Well, again, I keep my website separate, but it's important to me to do that. But yeah, you're right. I could be losing out. But what I do is obviously I talk to people at the events because a lot of people are curious. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other people here on this channel recognize the thing, oh, is this your full-time job? And I get that all the time, and I always use that as an opportunity to go, well, yes, actually, not only am I a kids performer, but I perform close up at, say, like birthday parties, weddings. I perform stage magic around the world, and a lot of people actually want to hear about that. They're very surprised that magic could be a full-time job. So I actually do that through word of mouth. I talk to people about that through that. So yeah, that's just
That's,
it mightn't
mm,
be the best, but that's what I like to do. So
makes sense. The structure of my kids' shows involves a break in the middle, so I tend to, once I've finished making balloons and stuff, I stand there ever so subtly, shuffling a pack of cards in a posy way, and see if I struck up a conversation about the real magic that I do for adults. But yeah, that's a good way of going around, just chatting to them. Let's look at the other way around. I didn't want to put this at the beginning of the video because the video that I talked about Tricks Convention was my lowest viewing figures because people don't like to think that they have any interest in kids magic, even though, as we're about to find out, there's lots of benefits to it. So let's talk about people that are maybe doing close up on the channel and would like to do some kids magic. What advice have you got for them?
well, basically the one thing that you've got to learn, as we talked about with going to adults, is the kids are a different audience to adults. And card tricks, I mean, I'm not saying the card tricks won't work with children, but they do have to be altered in a certain way to work because kids don't know the names of cards and they're very unlikely to remember them, for a long time. So your material has to be altered. And I think your character has to change slightly. It has to be, as we talked about, more exaggerated, more fun, more full of life. And I think what I don't mean this as an insult at all, but I think what performers get away with in doing close up, you can't get away with that with children because they will let you know. They will know if you really want to be there and really want to perform for them or if you don't. And they will pay attention to you or not pay attention to you because you're giving them your time. And I think like what no matter who I perform for, I always make eye contact and because I think through learning performance, the way to a person's soul is through their eyes. I think Shakespeare said something like that, and it is true. So we have to make eye contact with people. But with kids, I really, really try to make eye contact with children and make a deep, meaningful connection with them. Yeah, I think there's a lot there's a lot to do really to perform for children. You need to obviously be able to control them, to define who is boss. You don't necessarily have to do that in close up unless there's
Mm.
someone who's being particularly obnoxious, should I say, because a lot of adults, when they are sitting, they're kind of ready to kind of watch something, or at an event they kind of want something to happen, whereas with kids you have
Mm.
to demand the attention and keep it, and that's hard. It's
Mm.
really, really hard. When I first started, I used to have a red card or a yellow card, red card system, and if you got a red card, you were escorted out of the room because I couldn't deal with it. But now, like, I don't even need that anymore
Mm.
because I just have so many tricks to kind of get the kids to stay focused in the show.
Mm.
And I think that comes through the show design as well. But that happens as well in close up. It's interesting. There's a lot of crossovers. So
Mm. I've been doing kids shows for about 8 years now, so I've picked up most of these tricks myself as well. One thing I like to ask kids entertainers when I get them on or talk to them is the one thing I still struggle with is getting them to stay there. Not trying to stop people coming up to me. Everyone seems to have their little method for it. Alex Judy do's trapdoor or star mat that he has them to stand on, and that's the only time you come up. Do you have any particular way of keeping them from
yeah.
mobbing you?
Yes, I mean they just want to come closer. And actually, I think once you realize why that happens, it's because they want to be part of it. Like they are craving being part of this magic that you're creating. And there's nothing bad in that at all. So first of all, realize that it's not a bad thing. It's actually done in the best possible intention by the children. They don't even know that they're doing it. But I think for me, I always have a check. Like I used to be a person who had like a rope between me and
Mm.
the audience, and that does work. A lot of circus street performers do that.
Mm.
Um, but over the years, I find I don't really need to do it, because what I do is I do a check in between each routine that I do. And if they're too far forward before I start the next routine, or as I'm starting the next routine, I kind of go, okay, please move back just a little bit. So I always kind of, and because I've had the control at the start and I've taken control, then they will listen to me. Generally, I've never had a problem with that. But one of the things I have introduced over the years is I have a spot, like a little cushion, like a little spot cushion, and I kind of set it on the floor. And for certain tricks that I do that are particularly dangerous, if a kid was to move very suddenly, I would have a spot on the floor, and they would know that they would either have to stand on it, and they never really move from it, or if they do, they're quite close by it. So having a spot on the floor really does help if you want to do something like that. So yeah.
Mm. And though it's an entirely different style of magic, would you say that the strength of the magic is really still important in the kids show? Or people?
100%. I don't perform lesser magic for the children as I would for the adults. In fact, some of the stuff that I perform for kids, I'm kind of like, is there a way that I could do this in an adult show? Oh, maybe there is. Yes. So when I kind of unleash material into my kid show, it has to be well thought out. It has to have a start and middle and an end. And it has to be just as engaging as any close-up trick, any stage trick for adults. It's entirely the same thing. And the same amount of effort goes into building those tricks for kids as it does for building tricks for adults.
And would you agree that performing for kids is a massive benefit to a close-up worker or a stage worker for their performance quality?
I think so. Kids teach you so much about yourself and about how to perform and how to respect an audience too, because kids will test you. Like I cannot tell you how much what I've had. I mean, I'm sure it's the same with you. What kids have done in shows over the years has really tested my patience as not only a performer but as a person. I'm
Oh
telling
yes.
you. And if you have the patience to see yourself through that on many days, performing close up and performing for adults will be a doddle. It'll be because you never have to deal with half the stuff that you deal with performing for children. And again, I think the one thing you learn performing with children is you learn to really love what you do. Because if you don't love what you do, the kids will let you know, and they won't listen to you, and so if you really love what you do, that's all that matters. And I think that can be transformed into any style, close up, stage, anything. So, and I think also one of the a lot of people ask me, customers that is, like I did a show yesterday for a school, and the one of the teachers came up to me and says, "Oh, you're so patient," and I remembered something that happened to me when I first started. So I performed at a kids club for years, and I think that's really where I gritted my teeth in the kids performing. And I never forget, on the first day I turned up and I started to do my magic show, and parents were bringing these huge bowls of ice cream to their children. And I was like, this is just not the time to be bringing ice cream to children starting my show. But what I learned was I can either fight against all these things that happen, or I can use it. And like, for example, when the parents bring over, I kind of, oh, ice cream for me. And I go and lift it, and then it gets a laugh. And, so rather being negative on things happening, turn it into a positive. And I think that's a really great skill that I've learned from kids, that I've learned to, and it's completely transferred over to close up. Like, use things as an opportunity. When you see something, you're more aware of the environment, and you can make a joke, make a gag, make a moment. And I would not have them in my adult character if I did not have that as Fizz Whiz Pop. So
that's actually a really good tip. I like that. Yeah. Taking these things that drive us mad, like the ice cream, twisting it to your advantage. There are limits, though. I imagine that you can't really do that with the ultimate curse and enemy of children's entertainers, the bouncy castle.
Yes, for me, I don't know what you do, but I actually now have it in my policy that you cannot have a bouncy castle on while my show goes on. And I make them aware of that before they actually book my show, that it must go down. And since I've done that, actually, I've never had a problem with a bouncy castle ever again.
We do get them to go put them
Nice.
down. It doesn't always make us their kids' friends, but we do get them to do it.
No, but hey ho.
One last thing on the kids stuff, because this is purely for me. I am good at kid shows for the age range 4 to 8, and then for the older kids after that, I can start to work in the close-up stuff. I am dreadful at what our company calls tiny top parties, 2 to 4 age. It looks like I've watched your act, the Fizz Whiz Pop act, on the Penguin lecture that you did, and I thought if I was in that room with that character, I would be slowly stepping away from the crazy lady. So it seems like your act is ideally designed for the younger kids, and I wondered if you have any tips on dealing with the ones that are barely human.
Patience. I always find the younger the kids are, I talk about this actually in my Fizz Whiz Pop lecture. I did recently a Penguin Magic lecture, and I remember talking about this to Eric on it, so that's why I'm just mentioning that. But I think one of the things we don't do is especially when we're doing new magic, we tend to rush through our material and rush through our lines and not actually make eye contact with our audience. And I think with a younger audience, you almost need to take it even slower, and you always need to repeat things again. Like I use a silver scepter in my show. When I have really young kids, I tend to repeat the silver scepter 2 or 3 more times than I would normally do for like a 5, 6-year-old audience. And the reason is because when they're younger, they haven't formed the focus. They're not in school. They're kind of all over the place, and they're exploring the world. So it takes them slightly longer to kind of realize something is happening. So I noticed in a show one day, oh, maybe I just need to repeat this again. And when I did that, then they noticed and they got it, and then they couldn't take their eyes off it. So I think with a younger audience, you just have to take your time a little bit more, slow down, and don't be afraid to also let the kids like look at you and explore the environment, because at the end of the day, you are a strange person. Like I always say, whenever babies are looking at me, oh, they've never seen anything like this before in their lives, and they haven't. So you've got to put that into context, and if they haven't, you've got to let them look at you. They've got the chance to explore. So just take your time. That's the only thing I can say.
Those are good tips. can't slow down, repeat more. And if you play a character like me, I'm not allowed to do my grumpy, shouty thing anymore because it makes them cry.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's one thing. I've never like I never raised my voice in my show. Like when I
Mm,
first started, oh yeah, I did because that's how you think that you control
mm,
children. But you don't, because if you raise your voice, they're just going to go
mm,
higher. They think it's a game, and,
mm,
and and then no one wins. So you're actually better lowering your voice and slowing down because then
mm.
they will actually stop and listen to you.
And you use the same material you would use at that age group.
Oh,
Your show.
100%. 100%. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because a lot of people say, "Oh, do you have different shows for different ages?"
Mm,
And I don't, because what I do is I change the tone. How I talk to the audience changes every
mm,
single show. I always tell parents and families and organizers who book me that I basically perform appropriately for the audience that is in front of me. And I think that's entirely possible for anyone to do. You just have to look at the audience, and you can't, like, you don't talk to a tot as you talk to a 7-year-old, and
mm.
you just have to change. So
Okay. Almost wrapping up with you, but I've got just a question I ask people in your situation for my own personal interest in entertainment. I want to know what it's like performing at the Magic Castle and the Chicago Magic Lounge. They're not on year one goals, but if all the year one goals happen, they'll probably both be on the year two goals.
yes, yes. Well, all I can say is performing at the Magic Castle is a dream. I have been blessed, and I'm so lucky that I have had the opportunity. What I will say is everybody who wants to perform at the Magic Castle has to do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're David Copperfield or me or you or anybody else. Basically, what you have to do is you have to send a non-edited video to the Magic Castle, and if they like what you have, then they will book you. And I never forget the first time that I sent my video to Jack, and it took forever. Well, actually, it only took, I think it was like 6 days, but it felt like forever. I was like, oh, they're never going to have me in the castle. But that 6 days later, I got an email to say, yes, we'll have you. When are you free? So yeah, and I think once you go there once and they know who you are, then it's a lot easier for you to go back there. But what I can say is in fact, I have a blog about this. I have a blog. I'll maybe give you a link so you can put it here, where I basically write the requirements for each room, like how long you have to do, the differences in each room. That might be something that people are
Yeah,
interested
very much like to see that.
in.
Yeah.
But basically all the rooms are different. The material you need for each room is different, but it's just such a really unique place. People are coming to see magic. They want to be blown away by magic. And as most people in the UK will know, American audiences' response to magic is just like 10 times more than here or other places. So it's beautiful. It really, really is. And I would say to everybody, if you know, if you think you want to do it, just send a video. So
Yeah, we all know that if we're doing close up here and we hear an English accent, an American accent at a table, just great. Yes.
yes, yes. And also you asked there about Chicago Magic Lounge. I did weirdly, I did my very first close-up gig at Chicago Magic Lounge because I was over with my partner Tom Stone, who was he was doing a lecture at I think it was like a science illusion festival, and then he was performing there. And then Barnes, who is the entertainment director, found out that I was a magician, and he asked whether I'd like to do close-up. So my very first close-up experience was in the Chicago Magic Lounge, and it is just beautiful. It's wonderful, and you really learn your chops there because people are there to see a show, but they're also there to eat and to have drinks. So as a magician, you can't interrupt that. So if a server is coming along to a table and you're in between a trick, you have to learn how to deal with that, and not interrupt that happening. So it's a good place to kind of learn how to do proper old school close up. So yeah.
That's excellent. I started off, well, I didn't start off with an opening that good, but early on in my career, I got to work for Illusionist Magic Bar, so I'm used to a good um, structured set and getting used to performing close up for a good audience of people that have actually come to see magic. It's very satisfying.
Yes, it is very satisfying.
just occurred to me that I've asked about Chicago Magic Lounge and the Magic Castle, but you are my first, I think. Yeah, you are. I think you're my first Penn and Teller appearer on the channel. So let's hear what it's like to do that from you.
Well, it's really scary, but it's amazing. Like it's such an amazing experience. And like I've actually talked to a couple of other people briefly about this, and it's interesting. So obviously, when you submit a trick to Penn and Teller, it's not necessarily the trick that comes out in the end. And in fact, sometimes the trick becomes better because of it. So the trick that I performed on Penn and Teller was with tarot cards, and I had no intention of performing with tarot cards. But the reason why I did was because they had so many people going on to the show performing card tricks, and they were like, no, no more card tricks. We have enough. But they really liked the premise and my whole story with the trick, and they're like, well, how can we make this different? And they came up with tarot cards, and to be honest, I hated it. I was like purist. I was like, no, I want to do a card trick. So what I will say is when you go on Penn and Teller, you do have to compromise, but actually the compromise may end up giving you a better routine and a better trick for it. And yeah, I mean, the whole experience, I mean, it's hard that way because you're constantly, right, you need to change this, you need to do this, and you need to alter this. But actually, when you arrive in Vegas and Michael Close is there and the whole team are there, it's just fabulous. It really is. And I will never forget. So they brought my set out and I walked out, and I will never forget walking out and seeing Penn and Teller in front of me, and they both looked at me and Penn just went like this, and I just lost it, and it was just adorable. And one thing Michael Close said to me was, you're only going to get like potentially one opportunity to do this, so make sure that you enjoy it. And I did enjoy it. I really, really did. And then I got to meet them after as well. So yeah, it was such a wonderful experience. And I would say to anybody, if you're interested in it, just do it because you never know. I mean, I submitted for 3 or 4 years before I actually got on the show. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. I think Morten Christensen from Denmark said he submitted like 10 years before he got on the show. So yeah, so you never know. It's a great opportunity, and what a wonderful memory to have as well as a performer. So
yeah, for you to add to your list along with Penn Teller and Max Maven and Jim Steinmeier, Tom Stone, and just top up the memories a bit.
I don't need to mention these people, but they crop up in my life, let's just say. So
getting very close to letting you go. I was just wondering if you have any public shows where people can see you coming up, or any products coming out soon, or anything that particularly you'd like people to take a look at that you could mention?
Well, a lot of the shows that I do, as you know, they're private. They're private, like parties and things like that. So for the next couple of months, I'm doing a lot of Fizz pop stuff. I'm then off to Sweden to do it's called Exploring the Act course at the end of July, first week in August. And then I kind of have a secret project that I can't tell anyone about, but some people in the world might see me early August. Yes, the only thing I can really say that I'm really, really proud of right now, and it has just been released 2 weeks ago, is my Penguin Live, Nikola Arkane Penguin Live lecture. The Penguin crew are just amazing at what they do, and they brought me to Ohio and they basically filmed all of my stuff, and they made what I do look even better than what it is I do, and I'm so grateful. And I cannot yeah, you have to get it, and there's character, there's tricks galore. I explore everything. I give everything away. And yeah.
Be clear, this is a Nikola Arkane one, yes?
It's Nikola Arkane, but it is Fizz Whiz Pop, if that makes sense. So yes. Yeah, but I wouldn't worry.
I've watched the show. I haven't watched the lecture part yet, but I've seen the show. It's a very good show.
And that's the thing as well. I insisted that they record a show as well. I don't think they normally do that, but I wanted the show to be recorded because I wanted people to see the actual product and then see me breaking down everything. That was very important to me because I think that's the way to do it. When I'm booked at conventions as well, I always say please have a show and then have my lecture after it, because then the magicians can see my show in real context and go, wow, this stuff actually works. And this is why. So yeah, but you can get that on Penguin. So, and I encourage, so far it has a 5-star rating by 10 people, and yeah, loads of people are raving about it. So yeah.
Excellent. And I had a very brief look just before I was waiting for you to come on at your website, and saw that there's quite a few products on there that I wasn't aware of, and they're all self-produced on
They're
there,
all
aren't they?
they're all self-produced. I have 2 books on there, 2 FizzWiz pop books. I also have 2 sets of lecture notes that I've come up with over the years. The Chaos Within is basically my Magic Castle act, my very first close-up Magic Castle act. And what's great about that is it actually takes you through the journey. So how a trick links to another, links to another, links to another. So it's even nice just to read that. So if you want to kind of make your act, sorry, more succinct, that's it. That's a good read. I have another book on there called I have it up on my wall. It's called In Plain Sight, and that was like a comic book style magic book that I came up with during lockdown.
I love the cover of that book.
Yeah, it's Stefan
I've got
Eriksson actually designed that. So
the original Superman first appearance on the wall over there. I'm a massive nerd for that sort of stuff. I think the cover of that book is great. Makes you look like a superhero.
It's really, really nice. And basically that's again just an exploration of all the things that I came up during lockdown, doing online shows and things like that. So yeah, I mean I haven't produced a new set of lecture notes for Nikola Arkane just yet, because at the minute for my adult stuff, I'm still kind of exploring and finding my character. So I just don't want to just release stuff. I want to make sure that it's good and quality, and then I have something good to offer the community. So
excellent. I'll look forward to anything that does come out in the future. I think I've asked you everything I could possibly mine out of you information-wise for all of these topics. And there's probably something in that room just twitching to be played with right now and turned into a trick.
yes.
So I will let you go. I think I've been very much enjoyed our chat. I'm sure everyone else will too. And there's got to be something in there that you're going to get use out of, all of you people watching. So thank you very much, Nikola Arkane /FizzWiz Pop.
You're welcome. See you later.
As I probably said at some point near the beginning of the video, I'm changing the review section up ever so slightly. I'll be calling it something new. I'm not quite sure what yet. The Retro Review Show, Past Forward, something like that. When I have a new product to review for you that I think is exciting and you should see, I will review it. But even when I'm reviewing a new product, I'm always going to throw in a classic from the past that you haven't seen for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, that's probably in your drawers and you haven't done for ages, to get you to get that back out again. You don't always have to buy the latest and greatest thing all the time to learn new magic and get good stuff. Having said that, there was a conversation in the Facebook group earlier this week about Monte routines. Someone was learning stand-up Monte, comparing it to Corner of Piccadilly. So I thought today, as I've got no new stuff to review until next week when I've got a couple of interesting things, I would do a quick studio performance and review of my thoughts on what I consider the big 3 most famous Monte routines: Skinner Monte, Corner of Piccadilly by Paul Gordon, and Stand-Up Monte by Garrett Thomas. Those are the 3 that everyone seems to do. Let's get a little performance right now, and we'll start with Skinner Monte. Friends, you can consider this a little public service announcement. There's a game that you have seen in 1,000 films. You know it's a con game, but until you see it live and in person, there's always a small voice in the back of your head telling you could still win this game. Until you see it live, you're never going to get rid of that voice, so let me do that for you today. The game is Chase the Ace, Find the Lady, 3-card Monte. Whatever you call it, the game is the same. You're keeping track of the 1 odd card between the 2 black cards. We have black 3, the red ace, that's the money card, and the black 2. If I was a gambler, I would shuffle these up really fast, you wouldn't have a chance. But I'm not a gambler, I'm a magician. I'll do it slowly and fairly like a magician for you. Yeah, nobody ever gets that joke. We'll start like this. I'll place the ace just here, the 3 in the middle, and the 2 on the side. All you've got to do is follow the ace. Simple. Are you ready? This time it's your turn, good sir. Ready? Follow the ace. Very simple. Is the ace on card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3? Card number 1? That would be good, but not particularly magical. That wouldn't be much of a trick. I think you'll find it's over here in the middle, not over here with the 2. I'm going to try that again for you. I'm going to make it seem even easier while making it much harder. So we'll put the ace dead center. I'll put the 3 and the 2 on either side, and I'll simplify the mix for you. Are you ready? Follow the ace. So you're following the ace. Here we go. You may have managed to keep track of the ace, but just in case you haven't, I'm going to give you a small but subtle clue. It's that one. Which one would you like? That one? Oh, I love that reverse psychology stuff. It works every single time. One more time. I'll give you a final chance. This game's official name is 3-card Monte. But you and I, sir, will play 2-card Monte. We don't need this 3. We'll leave the 3 out of the game. We have the ace and the 2. Would you place your finger on the back of the ace right here and keep it there as I rotate these cards around? Now, bearing in mind that this is my favorite card, which one's the ace? This one? Oh, that is just terribly unlucky. I'm so sorry. I think you'll find I left it over here. That is Skinner Monte, or Skinner Ultimate Monte. Next up, we'll do Paul Gordon's Corner of Piccadilly. This is the one I use personally myself most often these days. I used to use the Skinner Monte a lot on the Illusions Magic Bar, doing that 7 shows a night. I like it with the jumbo cards, not the small ones, and I like the look of the cards that you can get with Paul Gordon's routine. You don't have to have these cards for Paul's routine, but I like these antique look and longer cards. They look nice and they fit in a man's top pocket without going too deep, so you have to dig in there to get the cards out. Here's the routine. It starts very similar. There is a game that you absolutely don't want to play, but until you see it live, you always think there's a small chance you can win it. You absolutely cannot win it. Let me show you why. When the game was first invented, the cards looked like these, and there were 4 of them, 3 black and 1 red. But these days, the game is more commonly known as 3-card Monte. They got rid of a card, so will we. The idea is very simple. You have to keep track of the 1 red card between the 2 black ones, but it's never quite as easy as it seems. I mean, even now, with just those little bits of a mix, you can't be 100% sure you know where we're looking. So if I were to ask you right now where you think the queen was, what would you say? The middle. That's interesting. A lot of people say the top. They're wrong. A lot of others say the bottom. They're wrong. The clever ones do say the middle. They're wrong, but at least they're clever. They all seem to miss me put it over here. Let me try and make that a little fairer seeming. The queen goes on the bottom. Where's the queen? On the top, well done. The queen goes on the bottom. Where's the queen? Now it's still on the top. Look, you're not getting this, so let's make it a little bit easier for you. We'll take the queen away. We'll put the queen in the pocket. In fact, I'll leave it sticking out. I'll leave it sticking out so you can see where she is right there. So the queen is visible right there. And here we have the 1, 2, 3 black 6s. If I take the queen now and place it on the bottom, where is the queen? On the top. You know, it's really not. Take one last chance, one last chance. I'll place the queen on the table, place your thumb on top. I do nothing. Right now, would you bet on that being the queen? Yes? That's not a wise choice, I'll be honest. Not a wise choice at all. And that is Corner of Piccadilly by Paul Gordon. And finally, we're going to do Garrett Thomas's Stand-Up Monte. This is a modern classic. There's a lot to remember in it there. I've learnt it a couple of times, forgotten it, learnt it again. Let's see if I can get through it. I normally do it from this pocket here because it's the right height for the normal cards, just as this pocket is the right height for the Corner of Piccadilly cards. But I've got a microphone here today, and not everyone has a pocket on their waistcoat breast, so I'll place these in my trouser pocket or jacket pocket, wherever, for this routine. Folks, do you know what the most famous card in the pack of playing cards is? Most people these days would say the Ace of Spades, and that's probably true in this century, but throughout history, I would say it was the Queen of Hearts. That's because of a very simple game that's been played through the centuries that you've seen in 1,000 films and know is a con game, but until you see it live, there's a small voice in your head telling you can win. So this is like a little public service announcement. Never play find the lady. The aim of the game is very simple. Keep track of the queen. Right now, not that much of a challenge, but unfortunately it's not that easy. There are distraction cards in play. If I add just one distraction card in and mix them up, already you probably don't know where the queen is. I say that because I do not know where the queen is. And it's here. Would you hold your hand out? We'll place the queen just there. I'll take the 4. I'll take the queen and you can take the 4. Already one card in and we're distracting you. And it doesn't, the bad news does not stop there. This is not called Find the Lady. This game's official name is 3-card Monte, because there are 2 distraction cards in play, and the job is still to follow the queen and not follow the 2 4s. Here's a freebie. Where's the queen? In the middle. Well done. Do you want to play for money? Oh, worth a try. Okay, let me show you this. If we take the queen and place the queen on your hand, all you've got to do is remember where the queen is on your hand. Small question, do you know why I'm waving this 4 around over here? It's so that you don't see over here where the queen is. That's right, on your hand we have a 4. Let's go the other way around this time. I'll place the 4 on your hand. I'll take a queen and a 4 here. I'll distract you with some strange moves, hopefully making you forget that there's a 4 in your hand. Where's the queen? Oh, that is unfortunate. I placed it here and I kind of tricked you there. Apologise. Tell you what, it's a little early for the queen. We'll put the queen away. We'll focus on just the two 4s. Now it might seem slightly easier to be able to follow 1 or 2 cards, but they are the same, so you can never really tell whether you're following this one or whether you're following this one. Fortunately, it doesn't matter. That's all just to distract you, because you're not following one of the 4s. The name of the game is Find the Lady. Where's the queen? What, here? You don't trust me. You saw me put the queen in the pocket. You saw me put it there. Have another go. Don't want you to feel bad. Have another go. Where's the queen? Oh, so you're saying it's not here? What do you mean I put the queen in the pocket? You saw me put that 4 in the pocket. So, let's take this another step further. Let me explain. You really can't win this game. If I take the queen and place it on your hand, and these 4s here, and do nothing, still, you cannot win. There is no way to win this game. That is the point I'm trying to make here. I don't know why you believe me when I said I put the 4 in the pocket. You know, you saw, you watched me place the queen in the pocket. I'll bring the queen out. Now this time I'm not going to mess with you. This time I'm going to place the queen in your hand. I'm going to place this 4 in my pocket. I'm going to do nothing else. Where's the queen? I know it is here. I did tell you I wasn't going to mess with you this time. The point I'm trying to make is if I want you to win, you will win. Just as if I want you to lose, you will lose. You cannot win this game. I am in complete control. All it takes to do this is these 3 queens and a few other cards in your pocket, these 3 4s here. I'll go one step further for you just to finish this off. I'll take the 4s over here. You put your hands on top of the queen. Everyone put their hands on top of the queen. I've got the 4s right here. Don't let me get to those. I'll take the 4s, push them through my hand once, through my hand twice, through my hand again. And I believe I have the 1, 2, 3 queens here. And you have the 3 4s down there. That is Stand Up Monte by Garrett Thomas. So that was your quick studio performance of Stand Up Monte, Corner of Piccadilly and Skinner Monte. 3 absolute classics, definitely worth a retro review. I know that you've got at least one of those in your drawer somewhere and you've stopped doing it over the years. Drag it out, get it back in your set, you won't regret it. What are my thoughts on each of them? When it comes to the Skinner Monte, I don't think there's really anything you can criticise. It's a great routine, it's an absolute classic. I think most people have done that one at some point, and it's the one probably that's done least these days, and I imagine it's literally age. It's one of those tricks that's come out of fashion and people aren't doing it anymore. But for a simple, super clean, super strong routine, you can't find much better than the Skinner Monte. If you want a really good performance of it, dig out your Bill Malone DVDs from the past. You'll find it on, I think, his first disc of On the Loose. Corner of Piccadilly by Paul Gordon is my go-to routine these days for a Monte. I find it easy to remember. I like the cards. They fit perfectly in my pocket. It's a routine that walk around on the hands. It doesn't need a table. It has a very strong reaction. It ticks every box, I think, for me, in a card trick, in a packet trick, in a Monte routine. Definitely worth a buy on Paul Gordon's website. Stand Up Monte by Garrett Thomas is an obvious modern classic that everyone knows and loads of people have learned. I don't see many people performing it. They're out there, I'm sure, but I've not seen anyone. I suspect one of the main reasons for this is it is a complicated routine to learn. It's a multi-phase routine, and everything that you're saying makes perfect sense to the spectator, but from your point of view, it's almost as if you're saying the opposite of what you're doing, which makes it very hard for you to remember the routine. But if you can get it down, if you can remember every phase, perform it slickly, I recommend doing, as he says on the instructionals, and trying to keep your patter matching your actions perfectly throughout the routine until you've got it totally slick, so that your patter reminds you where you are in the routine. If you can get all that done, I think it's probably the strongest of the three. I'm going with Corner of Piccadilly because it's a bit more practical for a crowded mix and mingle situation. I don't need any tables, and I don't have to sit there thinking about what I'm doing. But other than that, it is a very, very strong routine. So I guess that was sort of your first retro review. There will be weeks when I have new products that I think are worth your attention, and I will review those alongside another trick that you can do without cracking out your wallet and buying something new, probably, because it's probably in your cupboard over there. If I haven't got anything at all to review, I may or may not do just a retro review section like I did today, or I may do a different segment. And now let's cut to me, a few minutes ago, standing here dressed like this, telling you that the video's over. That's your lot for this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of Nicola's interview. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the button below. Don't forget about the Facebook group. Those of you who are already subscribed or in the group, I'll see you next week.